What's up guys, my name is Ace, and not too long ago I made a couple videos sharing some excellent jump spots around the maps in Modern Warfare 2, and today I wanted to continue that same sort of idea of mastering every little element of these maps by sharing a bunch of excellent drill charge spots that I found, because the drill charge is my favorite lethal in the game, and it is so good at taking people out of their camping positions. And in this video, I've got a bunch of amazing spots that are just going to give you free kills on campers all day long. Now keep in mind with this video, I tried to be pretty picky here. I'm trying not to show overly obvious spots. Instead, I'm focusing on the ones that aren't immediately obvious at least, and I also want to make sure I'm trying to focus on the more practical locations as well, where you're more likely to get a lot of traffic or people just camping. And diving right in, I want to start this off on one of my favorite drill charge maps. This is Mercado. There are so many walls in this that look like they are way too thick for drill charges, and it turns out they're not. The first one being this spot right here into the tunnel toward the B domination flag. This is incredible for domination game modes because, quite surprisingly, the drill charge will go all the way through this thick wall and land directly on the B flag for some easy kills. Now this also works going the other way, and there's often people camping in that little L spot there, so this is excellent at taking those people out as well. Additionally, to counter that same spot, this wall here looks super thick and it looks like a drill charge wouldn't go through, but it does, and that'll get you kills on those people camping in there. Next, we have this little loading bay right here. This is a super common power position where people will sit and lock that down, and the first spot I've got for you guys is from right here. This is pretty great. If you throw it right in behind that box right there, it will go through this wall like nothing and take those people out. However, that's not the only way to counter these people. If you suspect somebody's in there and you're coming from this direction, just throw a drill charge right on this wall right here and watch that go all the way through that really thick wall and take anybody out that's standing in there. And then from the other direction, if you just throw a drill charge on this spot right here on the wall, that will also go all the way through that thick wall and take those players out. So as long as you have a drill charge, that's no longer a safe place to be. Having said that though, if you are in that location and you have enemies coming through these gates right here, which is quite common, you can actually throw a drill charge on this side of the wall and use the reverse of the previous one, and this will land perfectly right in that little choke point, and this can often yield some kills for you. After that, we have the barbershop area, and this is great for opening routes right here. Enemies will often be coming through that door just as you're getting to this point where you can throw your drill charge. And if you throw it on this wall here, even though it looks way too thick, the drill charge will in fact go all the way through and land perfectly in those doors. And this can often yield you some free kills. On a similar note, if you have somebody in there and you find yourself in the corner over here, quite surprisingly, if you throw a drill charge right towards the left edge of this wall near the corner, it will go all the way through that wall as well and take that person out if they're still standing right here. If, however, you suspect they're standing on the other part of that area, even though the wall is even thicker here, you can still make the drill charge go all the way through and get yourself a kill on those players. After that, we have this other little L area where it's common for people to be camping or just traveling through, and you can throw a drill charge right on this corner to go through and kill them right on the corner of that L. On a very similar note, this one's a little bit more obvious, but you can throw a drill charge right here and that'll land in roughly the same spot, so that just depends on the angle that you have on that wall. Then, if you suspect you have enemies that are in this area here by the forklift and you're over in this direction, surprisingly, even though this is a really thick wall, the drill charges will go all the way through this and kill anybody that's standing in that room. So there we go, that wraps it up for the Mercado spots. Now let's move on to El Asilo, and with this one, the big spot we want to counter is the bar area. You often have people just camping on that bar. It's a very powerful position to be camping in, so I've got a few spots for you. Obviously, we have this spot right here. I'm not even going to show you it exploding, because that one is so obvious, it's just a regular wall. However, just an alternative here that you may not have thought of is on the stairs, if you aim toward the lower part of the wall right here, you can't aim up at all, otherwise it'll just go into the second floor. If you throw your drill charge right around there, that will get a kill on anybody behind the bar. Additionally, from the outside here, this one's actually a little bit tricky. It's not as easy as it looks. You don't want to be throwing the drill charge anywhere in this spot on the wall. However, what you want to do is aim for the spot between those vents that are coming out and that gray area right there. And this is going to yield consistent kills with the drill charge. I don't know what it is about the other spots. I think they hit the fridge or something behind the bar, but it often just yields hit markers, whereas this spot will get you the kills. But then finally on this map, for spots that you may not have thought of in domination, if somebody's capturing the B flag or if somebody's just camping in that room, you can throw a drill charge basically anywhere on that wall, and that'll often get you a kill. Next up, let's get into Farm 18, and the first spot I want to show is to counter the people that will sit behind these crates right here. They can be hard to challenge because you have to come through the doorway. And while this might seem obvious, I do want to show you what not to do here. This is really easy to mess up. You don't want to throw it where these lockers are because that often just gives hit markers for some reason. Instead, this is the better spot to be putting your drill charge for more consistent kills on them. Next, I often find I run into situations where enemies will duck behind that little corner there, and with a drill charge, it kind of sucks because you can't just throw it on the ground and still expect to get a kill. However, if you break the glass right there, you can actually throw the drill charge right through where that glass goes. It'll hit that door on the inside, and then it will land right in that spot that you're looking for. As for the next one, I just wanted to point out drill charges will go through these areas right here, so that's worth noting. However, if you have one of those stacked against a wall like we see right here, that won't go through, so you're just wasting your drill charge at that point. But there's a little workaround for this. If you suspect there's enemies in that area, if you aim up high here and aim for that little pillar, then the drill charge will actually drop in right where you need it to be, and this will often yield some kills, or at the very least some hit markers, and then you can just jump in and finish them off. Now on the flip side of that, if you're spawning in that area and you're trying to break out, oftentimes you'll have people just locking down that area. You don't want to push through that door. And therefore, with this one, what you want to be doing is aiming for that piece of sheet metal behind the railing. If you can stick a drill charge right there, that is going to be excellent at taking those players out. Now, on a very similar note, sometimes you'll get enemies that just love locking down this little room here. And again, if you spawn in this area, which is a very common spawn point, you can just pop a drill charge on the sheet metal right around there, and that will kill just about anybody that's in this room. Then let's move on to Hydro, and I've got some very interesting ones here. The first one is if you have an enemy that backs around that corner right there, this is a really common choke point area. From this side, if you stick a drill charge right here on this wall, it will go all the way through and it will kill those players. Now, you do have to be a bit careful with this one. You can't place it on the corner, you can't place it any higher or lower. This is the sweet spot you want to be aiming for, and that should work out really effectively for you. As for the next one, it's in a very similar spot. This is if you have enemies that are camping on top of that building, which is a very common power position, and a great way to pick them off, even from all the way on this side of the map, and they almost never see this one coming, is to aim for this sweet spot right here. If you do that, it'll go all the way through the structure and drop right down on top of their head for a very easy kill. But again, this one does have a very specific sweet spot that you have to aim for. If you go too high on this, you'll likely just get a hit marker. And if you don't hit this little brown area here, it doesn't even penetrate all the way through, so you won't get a kill. Now, on a very similar note, it can work from this side as well. Again, we're aiming for that same sort of sweet spot on that little brown area. It'll penetrate through and it'll drop onto their head right there. If they are toward the left side though, this will just yield a hit marker. Then, I know I'm using this building a lot, but this is often a very big hotspot on the map, so these are very practical drill charges to learn. If you have an enemy that you're having a gunfight with down low here and they duck behind this corner, just throw a drill charge right toward the middle of that building and it will go all the way through and get the kill for you. Again, you don't want to be hitting toward the corners of this because then the drill charge won't go through. As for the next one, this one's pretty ridiculous and only really applies to the domination game mode. Big shout out to 16 the Great for pointing this one out for me, but if you come underwater here at the B flag and throw the drill charge right in this spot right here, that will actually come through the ground and launch upwards and land directly on the B flag, killing anybody that's trying to capture it from that angle. As for the next one, this one's great for just the random free kill throughout a match. There's almost always somebody going to that window over there. And even if you find yourself way over on this side of the map, you can just toss a drill charge over and often get yourself a free kill by just throwing it right around there on the wall. Obviously, with this spot, you can get a line of sight from many different areas of the map, so it really makes that window not a safe place to camp anymore. Now finally, let's move into the hotel map, and with this area right here where enemies will likely hang out in this building, usually toward the bottom of the stairs, if you want to try to get to them from the hallway with a drill charge, all you have to do is throw it on the white sign right here. That will go all the way through the wall. You don't want to throw it up higher. That won't penetrate all the way through. On a similar note, if you're mid-map, you can throw the drill charge to the top point right here, and that will drop right in on top of the stairs. If you go left or right, it just doesn't work in this spot, so that is the sweet spot you want to aim for. And then finally, to counter people in that room, if you're in this side of the map right here, just throw it right on the brick wall above these heaters. It'll go directly through there and get a kill. This one may seem a little bit more obvious, but I didn't pick up on it at first. Next up, you often have people camping up in this room area right here, and if you're coming from this direction, you can't throw a drill charge on the glass up here and expect it to go all the way through. It just doesn't work. However, you don't have to fully expose yourself by coming all the way around the corner. Instead, just throw it on the ceiling right here, because that's the floor in that room, and it'll just pop up and get the kill there without you having to overexpose yourself. Next, right under that, this one's a little bit more obvious, but it's so practical and I get so many kills with it that I have to point it out. I use this for opening routes all the time on this map. If you throw a drill charge right here, it's gonna catch those people just as they come around that corner off their opening route, and I almost always get a first blood by throwing a drill charge right here. After that one, let's deal with the pesky bar campers here. Now, this one's fairly obvious, but if you're in this room right here, just throw a drill charge on the wall. Obviously, that'll go through. It's pretty much the same story on the other side, but you want to put it next to the glass display case there. If you put it on the display case, it doesn't always go through, so hit the wall next to it, and that'll be a free kill. Those ones are fairly obvious. One that's a lot less obvious and a lot more versatile as well to take out those bar campers is this spot right here. Now, you want the drill charge to hit as close to that corner as possible without hitting the corner, obviously. And this allows you to kill that bar camper from anywhere in the mid-map area. As long as you can get a drill charge somewhere around that spot, you'll get yourself a kill. After that, we have one that may seem pretty obvious, but honestly, I never really picked up on this until I actively looked for these spots. You often get enemies coming through this area or even camping in this room right here, and a great way to take them out is just to throw a drill charge right at this sign right here. It'll go through and it'll blow up right in the center of that room, killing essentially anybody in there unless they have bomb squad. On a somewhat similar note, oftentimes you'll have enemies that are chilling behind the couches over here, and it looks like this is fairly thick and a drill charge may not go through, but I did want to point out it will go through, so it's a fairly practical, although maybe a bit obvious to some of you, spot. And again, another spot that I wanted to show, mainly because it's a high traffic area, not so much because this is super secret or anything. I love throwing drill charges right on this wall right here, because there's sometimes people that will just sit on that corner and camp, or at the very least, you get a lot of traffic from people coming out of their spawn, and they have to come through that choke point in order to get out of there. And with that, that's finally going to wrap it up for today's video on some amazing drill charge spots that I've found on a bunch of the maps in Modern Warfare 2. Since I've discovered these, I've been using them quite a bit, and it's amazing how many free kills you get out of this, and how unsafe you can make certain camping positions on the maps. And now that we've got that finished, I'm really curious to hear what you guys think of the drill charge in Modern Warfare 2. Do you guys really like this piece of equipment or not so much? And also, are there any other really unique spots that you found that you can use drill charges for in order to take out campers? If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.